So I thought it was interesting. One of our very experienced salespersons picked up the sheet this morning and she said, "Holy crap, we beat May." And I think that's a pretty good way to describe how the market has been the last couple of months. In fact, I said to you last month when I said the number of 595, what did it represent? Well, this year's sales total was 606, and what do you think that represented? Top six, the sixth best month in the history of the Central Okanagan in real estate, in all time in the Okanagan Maine Real Estate Board. In fact, the only months that beat it were March, April, May, and June of 2007 and August of 2005. Those are the only months that have beat what we did last month. So it's busy out there. So if we go through those stats, you can see that year to date we're up about 21% in sales. We're down slightly in listings, and that reflects that the inventory is down about 14% over last year. If you go to residential, interesting, residential is probably, of all the markets, the big three, I guess, is the softest of them. It's good, but it's not as hot as some of the multifamily markets. So listings are about on par, sales up 13%. A couple other interesting numbers. That means the inventory is down around 16%. The list to sell ratio year to date is around 50%. Paul Fabry told us a few weeks ago that in a market between 40 and 60% is a balanced market. So we're right smack dab in the middle of a balanced market, although I think we'd all agree that the lower end is definitely a seller's market. The upper and middle end is probably more of a balanced market. Average price up about 8%, 7.5%, 8%. And I think that number now is probably getting pretty close to being accurate, even in the low end, is that the prices are starting to move. And the active inventory is about 4.5 months. So there's about 4.5 months of active inventory out there in all price categories. I think in the lower price ranges, we would see that the actual active inventory is lower. The multifamily market is hot. So condos are up 37%. Listings, it's one of the only categories listings are actually down. So listings are down 3% in condos. That reflects that the active inventory is down 21% year to date. The months of inventory is about 6.5, which is the lowest we have seen in literally years and years and years. And the list to sell ratio at around 48% says smack dab we're in a balanced market as well. So very good market in condominiums. The townhouse market is also extremely good. Listings are actually up year to date, which means that the active inventory is actually up 5%, which is one of the few categories where inventory is actually up. Sales up 38% year to date. List to sell ratio 55%, getting very, very close to that seller's market, and prices have changed somewhere between 5 and 6%. The lots market, not a lot of activity there. Sales up 12%, listings up 4%, prices pretty much the same, so that's all I'll comment on. And then the mobile home market, sales up 27% year to date, listings down about 10%, so real strong there as well. Prices pretty much unchanged, but interestingly, active inventory about 5.5 months worth, so not a ton of inventory in the condominium market as well. If we look at the 12-month statistics, I'll hit a few highlights. So if you look at those sales totals for the last 3 months and you see that we're over 500 sales, that is a good market. The start of the year was pretty good, but we are in an excellent market now with over 500 sales in each of the last 3 months. You know, I said the inventory was down 20%, but if you go down and look at that 4,006 active inventory and compare it to last year at over 4,600, that's, you know, you really see that we are down a lot in our active inventory. In the residential market, if you look at the last 5 months worth of prices, you know, you go 554, 468, 468, 500, and basically 500 again. We can see that there's gaining strength there in price. And the price ratio at 97% for the last 5 months shows that people are not negotiating a lot on their house sales. And I think that's a great statistic when you're working with your buyers, that you're basically getting 3% off the sale price, and that is it. And then also on the days to sell, we have been around 70 days now for 4 months, and that is showing that we are in a very active market. Going to condominiums, last month 107 sales. That's the most condominium sales that we have seen since back in the 2007 and previous era. And then the price ratio at over 96%, also extremely strong. And the days to sell at 86 days, getting down lower than we've seen in a long time. The interesting thing, and when you look at townhouse condo, and mobile home, that represented 45% of what I'm going to call the housing that people live in the most. So of the big three categories, multifamily now represents 45% of the market. Interestingly, about 20 years ago, I sat on a task force at OMREB that the city had us put together to get feedback, and their prediction in 20 years is that 50% of all the housing in Kelowna would be multifamily. So we're very, very close to that market today. The townhouse market, the two numbers that I look at that are very interesting are the price ratio at 97% now, basically for the last 10 months. Not a lot of negotiation happening in townhouse. Townhouse has been hot now for a couple of years, and the days to sell have now snuck down below 90 days. So the townhouses are also selling very, very quickly. And in the mobile home market, interestingly, the average price range last month jumped up quite significantly to over $100,000. So I'm not sure that means that mobile homes are going up in price, or we just had some nicer mobile homes selling last month. We'll see if that changes over the next couple months in the market. Any questions?
Francis, some boards report sales as a ratio of active inventory. We don't. Any idea why not?
You mean the actual the number I give you guys? We're just better than the board. Chris is grimacing over there.